Alright, so first and foremost, I want to prove that Moors are black. Alright, so first and foremost, before I read this little blurb here, right? Moor goes back to Moreno, right? You got that like in Spanish, it means like black. It means black. And Moor means black. Right, but now let's read this thing, right? Moor came to mean anyone who was Muslim or had dark skin. No, it just means dark skin. It had nothing to do with Muslim, man. Even though the Moors were Muslim as well, it was about that they had dark skin, or hailed from those people. Occasionally, Europeans would distinguish between black Moors and white Moors. One of the most famous mentions of Moors is in Shakespeare's play The Tragedy of Othello, the Moor in Venice. Alright, now there, even though you had some Moors, right? Because Moors, they were in South Italy, as I'm gonna bring out what you see right there, Venice, right? Venice is in Italy. So let me look that up real quick. Hold up. Okay, there we go. Whoops. Yeah, it is in Italy. Just wanna make sure about that, because I haven't looked into. I'm not really the best with locations, but yeah, so it is in Italy, in the northeastern Italy, right, of the Veneto region, right. So we also had rulership in there too. It wasn't just the south; we had the north as well. All right, but you had Edomites in there. When the Moors came in, they started to pop them and have sex with them. All right, now according to Numbers 1 and 18, succeed lives through your fathers. So even though dark-skinned men slept with white women, so-called white women, them children are still Israelites. All right, they still go back to Israel. All right, the Moors are Israelites because they fit the prophecy. All right, so that was pretty much that, right? So Moor means black. See here, look, there's more websites. I mean, the information is out here. Moors is being black, swarthy, or tawny in skin color. But yet Israelites in North Africa, which is where they say they came from, right? Therefore, you just put two and two together. You see that the prophecies fit in. They are Israelites, right? So, etymology, Moor comes from the Greek word moros, moroi, meaning black or very dark, which in Latin became moro, mori. The Latin word for black was not moro, but niger or fusco for very dark. But in some, not certainly all cases, Moors were described as fuscus. Alright? So, once again, there is a tie between these two languages, right? You got the word moro. Then you got moreno, right? Which is probably going to get into there. Anyway, but I want to prove one more article. Get one more article to prove my point. Alright, so this is Tom Molyneux. Right, see here, Thomas Molyneux, right? March 23rd, 1784 to August 4th, 1818, right? He was a American bare knuckle boxer and possibly a former slave, right? And as you can see here, right, they called him the Moor. Okay, now, did they call him the Moor because he was Muslim? Hell no, man. They call him the Moor because he's black, because he's darker skin. All right, look at him. Clear Israelite, man. Just Jake. Straight Jake. Alright, so I'm pulling out a lot of history here. As I said, this is the kind of information that this guy would have that Sicarri would have got if he wasn't so busy trying to make rap music and fucking trying to spit fucking bars and shit and watch wrestling matches and have Hebrew study buddies. He might have known this. Alright, he could have let that man speak, could have read his spirit, and told that he's a Israelite, man. Which I think that gentleman right there was Israelite, in my opinion. From what I've seen, I think he is Israelite. Didn't come up with that Edomite kind of spirit. But Moorish architecture in Italy, Islamic-inspired architecture that was built in Italy by groups that originated in Scandinavia, because right? Israelites in Scandinavia as well. It sounds like today's globalization, but this was actually the case in southern Italy during the Middle Ages. The southern Italian island of Sicily was under Islamic occupation between the 9th and 11th centuries, and Moorish architecture left an influence that was further developed by the Normans, who were also Israelites, right? Who came from Scandinavia and expelled the Arabs. Let's find out more, right? Because during this time, we also had Jake on Jake crime going on, man. Jake were fighting other Jakes. Moorish refers to the Muslim people that ruled Spain, Portugal, and southern Italy between the 8th and 15th century, and were originally from North Africa, right? You had Israelites in that region, right? You gotta think about that too, because we fled Jerusalem, right, 1780, right? And some of the reasons where we fled to was in Africa, We didn't just flee to Africa. Of course, we also fled to other regions as well, right? And of course, there was a lot of Jakes that were taken to Rome, right? Which them eventually taken over it anyway, and you get eventually the Holy Roman Empire, right? Before then, you have Nerva, Trajan, Hadrian, Septimius Severus, Caracalla, and so on and so forth, right? Right? But that was just the beginning of Jake rulership in Rome. It denotes the cultural influences more as architecture, so that Italy studied when the Arabs occupied system. Arab means mixed multitude or mixed, all right? Because you got a lot of different people out there. But the Moors are Israelites, and you are dark-skinned people. Occupied Sicily as part of the Muslim expansion during the 9th century, right? Because they were Jakes that were working with the Muslims. They brought traditions, knowledge, and architecture techniques with them. I also want to make this point too. The Moors, when they took down Esau, we didn't do the same. We didn't deal with them the same way they dealt with us. We basically had them in servitude and subjection, but we weren't, fucking doing the fucking vile shit that they did it to us, like stacking us on top of sardines on top of each other and put us on a slave ship and have us fucking shitting and pissing on ourselves. Yeah, we didn't do shit like that to them, man. All right, so this is the last point I want to bring out, right? So we read about, eventually Jake losing his rulership, Revelation the 20th chapter, right? So this is pretty much what I want to say is pretty much like another example of like kind of the end of Moorish rule, but I want to bring out another precept that ties in with this, right? The Granada War, Spanish Guerra de Granada, was a series of military campaigns between 1482 and 1491 during the reign of Catholic monarchs Isabella I of Castile and Ferdinand II of Aragon against the Nasrid dynasty's Emirate of Granada. It ended with the defeat of Granada and its annexation by Castile, ending the last remnant of Islamic rule on the Iberian Peninsula, right, by the Moors. Right, these are Edomites that took down the Moors. Right, this is the beginning of Edomites starting to get their rule and taking it, right, and taking us down. Right. Well, we don't really need to get into the rest of it, but you had the Moors who were still in this region, and they were taken down, and you had some that fled, of course. But I want to bring out a quick precept though. All right, this is this one here. No, it's not this. Hold on. 5. Is it 4? Yeah. Ecclesiastes 4:16. There is no end of all the people, even of all that have been before them. They also that come after should not rejoice in them. Surely this also is vanity and vexation of spirit. Now, the rest is talking about something else, which we can get. I'm not really going to get into that, but, I'll just focus on the first part of this, and I'm going to get a translation just so we go into it, right? But, Solomon, which is Yahushai, or Yahushai is Solomon, or Yahushai Solomon was an incarnation of Yahushai, or I guess you could say it like that, right? But, of course, Yahushai came first, right? Then he reincarnated as Solomon. There we go, right? But basically, the first part is no end of all the people, right? That speaks for itself, right? Even though the Moors, you may have had some Moors that left and escaped, right, before the fall of Granada. The Moors that were there and were taken down, were put in subjection, are still there. They're still there. Those men that were there and were enslaved, they're still there, and they're Israelites, man. Their status as Israelites didn't change just because they were taken down. All right. Likewise, when we were taken down by the Romans, we were put under Roman rule back then. Our identity as Israelites, us being as Israelites, our nationality never changed. We were just under subjection. Likewise with them, they're still there, and they still have children, and then their children came all the way over here to America. Boom. Simple. Simple as that. All right. So they're still around. But let's go get this because I want to make a quick point. So we can look at this NIV, NLT version. Endless crowds stand around them, but then another generation grows up and rejects them too. So it's all meaningless, like chasing the wind, right? So, let's see here. There's no limit to all the people Bereans in the Bible. There's no limit to all the people who were before them. Yet the succession would not be celebrated by those who come even later. This too is futile and a pursuit in the wind, right? And Solomon talked a lot about this, right? Like building up stuff, and then you die, and then you just be forgotten, and then people forget about it. Things like that. Now this is vexation, vanity, and so on and so forth. Like it's worthless, But a lot of the commentary Solomon was making about during this time, he also made commentary about like in the face of all this, like you should just be happy, be merry, go about your way, basically. But that just shows you the tragedy of having your lifespan cut short. Which in the kingdom we're not going to experience this, building things up and then dying and then losing it all. In the kingdom, we're going to be immortal. So we're just going to be straight building, straight, living lavishly, man, luxuriously. All right. Low end of that number. Low end, we're all of that number, of course. All right. This is the book of 2 Timothy, chapter 2, verse 15. Show thyself approved unto the Most High, a workman that needeth not to be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth. All right. So that Sicarri guy, I don't know how long he's been out there. He's probably been in Sicarri longer than me. He's probably been teaching for like 3 years, and he still doesn't know that, Southern Italians are Israelites, right? And I've only been in this truth for a year. I've been camping for a year. I've really been in this truth for longer than a year, but I've been camping for a year, and I know that he's probably been camping for like 5 years. Or doing the thing with Sicarri for 5 years, 3 years, who knows? He doesn't know that. And none of those guys around him who probably been with Sicarri for years too, they don't know it either. They're not studying to show themselves approved unto the Most High. They're trying to study to show themselves approved unto men. Right? Trying to fucking make money. Why you got an ad on your video, man? None of the elder brothers I see in GMS or brothers such as myself or GMS offshoot camps, none of us have ads in our videos, man. None of us are selling in breakdowns, man. None of us. We give you the breakdown for free. If you come on a comment board and you got a sincere question, we'll answer it either in video form or I'll just answer your comment and answer your question, or I'll tell you where to look. Depending on the question. Alright? Study show us approved to the Most High, workmen that need not to be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth. Well, they're not doing that, man. He's a workman. He's a workman that is ashamed. He's ashamed. He's not even a workman because he ain't even working toward the right. He's not even working with the right doctrine, man. He don't even got the right doctrine, man. Alright? Those guys ain't right, man. And he's not rightly dividing the word of truth. He got it wrong. He got it wrong. And then he wasn't even confident in it. All right? We get that scripture too. Hold on. Damn, bro. Yeah, there we go. James 1:8, a double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. So, right, you saw that guy teaching, man, that Jake teaching. He was stuttering like in the back of his mind, like, all right, maybe he is Israelite, right? Maybe, but he doesn't know, man. Right? He doesn't have that sure foundation, man. You don't know, right? You should be confident when you're out there, man. You have to have confidence in what you're talking about, and that comes with studying. That comes with studying to show yourself approved. Right? Do your GMS homework. That's how you get stable, man. That's how you know, by studying, by learning. Let's get the last precept, and then it's off the bed for me. Acts 26:14. We're all fallen to the earth, had a voice speaking to me. and saying in the Hebrew tongue, Saul, Saul, what persecutest thou me? It's hard for thee to kick against the pricks, right? This proves the Yahushua spoke in Hebrew, the Paleo Hebrew, by the way, all right? And I said, who art thou, Lord? And he said, I'm Yahushua, whom thou persecutest. But rise up and stand upon thy feet, for I have appeared unto thee for this purpose, to make thee a minister, and a minister, and a witness on both of these things which thou hast seen, and those things in the which I will appear unto thee, delivering thee from the people and from the Gentiles to Israelite foreigners, unto whom now I send thee, right? Unto whom now I send thee, right? Because you got to think about that, right? Apostle Paul was being sent to the people, that were afflicting it, man, right? Because when Apostle Paul starts to get into this, they want to assassinate him, they want to kill him, and wherever he goes, he gets pushback. Like I believe you had it in was it Ephesus, where I think there were certain men that sought to kill him because they were Apostle Paul was teaching, he was moving people away from the idol worship, and you can look that up for yourself. I think it's Acts maybe 18, around about there, but I'm not gonna get it. But Apostle Paul was getting vexed and getting I guess you could say persecuted by his own people, man. Israelite foreigners as well as Israelites who knew they were Israelites, right? Because you had that. Soon after this, they wanted to kill him, all right? And then the Apostle Paul was sent to these same peoples to teach them, all right? And certain people of the Israelite foreigners and of the Israelites started to come into this thing, all right? Back then, verse 18, right? So what are these guys talking about, man? That guy, he failed, man. He failed. Verse 18, to open the eyes and to turn them from darkness to light and from the power of Satan unto the Most High, that they may receive forgiveness of sins and inheritance among them which are sanctified by faith that is in me, right? Okay? And that's the reason why we go out there, right? To turn them from darkness to light, from the ways of the world, being in darkness, not having the light, which is wisdom, which is Yahushai. To able to see these things, right? Because light, you can see, right? You can see these things happen, and he didn't show that Israelite man that light, man. That Israelite foreigner the light. That he shunned them off, man, because he didn't look Israelite enough to him, man. I mean that gentleman, he could pass for Ephraimite. If we said he was an Ephraimite, we would have believed him, and they would have said, "Oh yeah, you were Israelite, man. Come on in." If he said, "Oh, I'm a Puerto Rican," they would have let him in. But just because he said he's a Southern Italian, then they get at him, man. It don't make no sense, man. All right, yet Israelites inside of Italy, yet Israelites all over the place, man. Now you got brothers in Germany, man. Literally, brothers in Germany. All right, brothers in Holland. All right, brothers all over the place. All right. And for the power of Satan to the Most High, right? Because the world is under the vibration of Satan, right? Because you got Esau ruling. And Esau is working heavily under Satan, man. All right, the spiritual demon Satan is dealing heavily with Esau. All right, Esau, he does his witchcraft and his worship unto Satan, man. Conjures up demons. Part of that is in that witchcraft and the way he nourishes up his powers. A lot of shit that goes into that is adrenochrome. You can always look into that for yourself, Inheritance among them which are sanctified by faith that is in me, right? And that goes back to Revelations, the ninth chapter. No, maybe not the ninth chapter. Maybe it's another chapter. Maybe it's the fifth I'm thinking about. But whatever chapter it is, it talks about the how the angels held back the winds, right? The nuclear winds. Right, because that means for the angels holding back the wind, that wind represents the nuclear winds, and to the Most High, sealed the elect in their foreheads, man, gave them the truth, gave them the understanding. I have the name of the Most High in their foreheads, and that's what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to go out there, and through us teaching, the Lord is sealing the elect. Okay, that's our role. And those guys, they don't have the right doctrine. They're turning away, possible fruit, man. Yes, they are. They turn away possible fruit, possible sheep, and pushing them away. And I didn't even give that guy a chance to even speak. Romans 8 and 16. goes into that, man. Also, another scripture: judge not according to appearance. All right, you're not supposed to judge people according to how they look. Oh, you're not black enough. All right, as I said, that makes no sense because they have Northern Kingdom Jakes inside Sicarri. So, I mean, are they not black enough too? Is that, what's the deal with that? That don't make no sense, man. It don't make no sense at all. That's low one, you had flash level.